folks, if you listened to the last episode, I read a bunch of quick snaps of movies coming out about aliens and alien invasions. In the face of forthcoming bumper crop alien invasion and staged alien invasion movies, rumors are on the rife on the internet of a staged alien invasion false flag operation or an ethical extraterrestrial decloaking or landing. Now, these issues peaked again on October 13th, 2010, a date on which Stan Fulham, a retired NORAD officer, wrote that channelings from a 40,000-strong group of dimensional souls stated that October 13th, 2010 was the tentative date for a fleet of extraterrestrial vehicles to hover for hours over the Earth's principal cities. Mr. Fulham stated that the event was to be the first in a series intended to avert a planetary catastrophe resulting from increasing levels of our carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere, dangerously approaching a critical mass. A summary of the UFO sightings on planet Earth on October 13, 2010 included an alleged mass UFO sighting over New York City, an alleged disappearance of an entire village in the Quinlan Mountains, China, UFOs over the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, UFO sightings in Malaysia, Ohio, and in Texas. In short, a relatively normal and not so normal day for UFO activity. One researcher claims a full UFO ET, end quote, decloaking did occur on October 13th, 2010. There does appear to have been a mass decloaking on October 13th. The Canadian ex-NORAD officer stands vindicated. The most impressive display was the decloaking over New York City, which went on through the day and night. But sightings were also reported in a number of other places, including Seattle, San Francisco, Orlando, Puerto Rico, and Malaysia. If I'm correct, these other sightings were not mass decloakings like over New York. Another researcher states, quote, on October 13th, several dozen UFOs were sighted over New York City. The sightings began around midday and lasted until evening. They were sighted by hundreds and filmed by witnesses and television crews. Multiple videos of the UFOs have been broadcast, which you can see on YouTube if you do a search, guys and gals out there. There was no official comment from government authorities over the source of the UFOs that maintained a steady position for hours on end. The FAA said nothing showed up on radar and had no advance reports of balloons being launched in the area. The October 13th sighting would be like so many other unexplained UFO sightings over major cities, except for one notable exception. Stanley A. Fulham, a retired NORAD officer, actually predicted October 13th as a date that extraterrestrial visitors would appear as the initial step in a process to educate the world public that we are not alone. Astonishingly, his prediction was vindicated by the mass UFO sighting in New York, as well as in other major cities. Could the New York UFO sighting on October 13th be the first step in extraterrestrials indisputably revealing themselves to the world public, as Fulham claims? Public sensitivity to Project Bluebeam-like phenomena has grown to such a pitch in the years since Obama's Nobel Peace Prize that a YouTube video, please see the video either through YouTube or examiner.com here through the internet, of a spiral light in the sky taken by a North Vancouver, BC resident at 6:20 a.m. on October 13th, 2010 from their home window, elicited a number of comments on Facebook. Some observers saw the UFO spiral light as mesmerizing, beautiful, and full of life, while others viewing the same spiral were reminded of UFOs over a Chinese airport on October 13, 2010, and warned, quote, I think the show has begun referring to Project Bluebeam and its staged alien invasion and UFO psyops. It would seem there are multiple frames or points of view or perception of each of these UFO lights phenomena. Project Bluebeam, staged alien invasion or psyops, ethical ET contact, or signs of the coming of Maitreya, itself a psyops to some. These are some of the operant frames of reference. Remarkably, the 6:20 a.m. UFO spiral light over North Vancouver, BC on 13th, 2010 looks very similar to the star sign phenomena that has reportedly been seen over France, USA, Japan, Israel, UK, Belgium, Germany, as well as Canada, and is said by some organizations to, quote, herald the emergence of Maitreya, the world teacher, end quote. Others state that the star sign phenomena is an aspect of Project Bluebeam psyops. If you want to read more of Alfred Weber's article, go to the Examiner.com to read about that. It goes into all kinds of forays about the Illuminati, Maitreya, of course, being supposedly the next Jesus-type character that's alive and walking around, and the PSYOPs false flag operation that the Cullens report talks about, Nick Redfern's, religious perspective UFO book, Final Events, that this is all orchestrated by either groups of individuals of Earthlings to maintain control over populace, or by demons from hell, making it look like that extraterrestrials are coming here to save us from the end of our planet's life and usher in a new era. But really, we're selling our souls to Satan. There's perspectives coming from everywhere here, folks, but nonetheless, Stan Fulham seems to be vindicated here on his predictions. So thanks, Paul Hellier, Mr. Hellier, for sending me that article and link. It doesn't end there, though. We're going to talk about Dr. Othman here, Othman, who is the UN's Outer Space Office's director, also. So yeah, also in that email there from Paul was this little blurb about Dr. Othman. Now, she's a member of the UN, and if you remember the National Press Club conference that took place last month, it had all kinds of amazing, high-ranking military officials and other people going on the record at the National Press Club saying that UFOs are real. They've been interacting with our nuclear silos all over America and beyond, and deactivating them, and that it is an issue of national defense. And the only coverage it got was CNN streaming live on the internet, pretty below the radar, and some guy, I think from, was it the Washington Post? I'm going to say it's some douchebag who came on and said, basically, I was there for the cookies because I heard they had good cookies. I guess he's like the arts and entertainment guy at the Washington Post. I don't know who dropped the ball or influenced that decision to send that nut job out there to cover this important event. But anyway, this National Press Club conference was shrouded by a media leak that said that Dr. Othman from Malaysia, I believe, was being appointed as the UN's ambassador to extraterrestrials when they make contact. And so that got all the coverage. Everyone was up in a hoo-ha. So the National Press Club got totally swept under the rug. And then people approached Dr. Othman and they said, is this true? And she said, gosh, no. This is not true. I'm not an ambassador to planet Earth, although it would be fun to think that, I could be, that it would be me, that I would be the chosen one. But no. In reality, Dr. Mazayan Othman is the director of the UN Outer Space Office. Yes. There is an outer space office. What is the outer space office? Well, I'll tell you. It's the Office for Outer Space Affairs organization. It's the United Nations office responsible for promoting international cooperation in the peaceful uses of outer space. UNOOSA, United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, serves as a secretariat for the General Assembly's only committee dealing exclusively with international cooperation in the peaceful uses of outer space. So that's what that is. Anyway, she's the director of that group, and on October 14th, 2010, the day after the October 13th, 2010 UFO decloakings over New York City and other areas of the world, as predicted by the former NORAD officer Stan Fulham, Dr. Mazayan Othman director of this office, held a press conference at UN headquarters in New York and candidly spoke her mind on the extraterrestrial presence and extraterrestrial contact. Now, that's all this article says. It says Examiner.com readers can watch a video of the complete press conference in the article below. So go to Examiner.com and check that out. Look at that video. I have to admit, I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'm disappointed. I guess maybe I didn't because I don't feel like I need to listen to these people tell me that they believe or don't believe in extraterrestrials or UFOs, because I've already got my mind made up, people. You know, I told this journalism student that interviewed me the other day that I believe UFOs are real, extraterrestrials are making contact, and some exclusive group with great power and funds is stopping the flow of information to the masses. I'm not afraid to hide it. It's obvious. If you do your homework and look into it, something is going on. God damn it, I swear you. Look into it. If you don't, you're lazy or you're scared. That's what I believe. Okay? So those are my views. So anyway, if you want to watch that video and hear her opinions of all that, go to theexaminer.com and check it out. So thank you, Paul, for sending that information to me, that update. You didn't have to. You've got an incredibly busy life, and I do appreciate that. So thank you, Mr. Hellier. All right, moving right along here. What else can we talk to you about? I'm just going to give you a quick overview because you can go and do the research for this stuff yourself and pick up copies. But Nick Redfern's got a new book, like I said, Final Events. I won't talk any more about it because I spieled enough about it. Basically, it's the apocalyptic scenario from the religious fundamentalists, so to speak. Not originally. The group, the Collins elite, was not fundamentalists in the beginning. It was basically trying to search out the occult roots of the UFO phenomenon and eventually became a fundamentalist organization, from what I understand. And, you know, the demonic control of our minds and souls through the use of the idea of extraterrestrials making contact. So go check that out. It looks like a good read. Nick Redfern, Final Events. I think I might pick up a copy because it seems pretty interesting. I've thought about that scenario before. You know, from a religious perspective, I try to put on a lot of different pairs of shoes and pants, if you hear what I'm saying, and try and look from those different perspectives at the whole phenomenon. So that was one that I came up with too. But I need to check it out. For God's sakes, if it's the last thing you do, for gosh sakes, I'm sorry for all of you who take offense to that. Paul Hellier has a new book, Light at the End of the Tunnel. You'll hear all about it. Excuse me. On the next episode of The Unified Field when I interview him and we talk about Light at the End of the Tunnel and everything that's in there and the implications of all that. Pick up this book. He's a Canadian hero, legend. He is a patriot. No matter what people tell you about these people coming forth of high rank and caliber with genius intelligence in some cases, these people are heroes. They are patriots. We're not Americans up here in Canada, okay? We're not going to pigeonhole anybody and call somebody unpatriotic for trying to bring the truth about what the heck is going on out there. You know, we're more liberal. We're more free in a lot of ways, even though we're still rats in a cage. If you catch my drift, folks. He's a patriot. Pick up his book, Light at the End of the Tunnel. He's got some really interesting things to say. He's genius. He's a genius, okay? He's been dealing with economics forever. He's been dealing firsthand with this phenomenon, with other people talking about the phenomenon. Pick it up. Also, Sean Leonard's boat cruise. It goes from now until the end of October, I believe. Let me just confirm those details here. Yeah, October 15th to 31st. I went on the premiere tour, you know, to see, you know, to hang out with those guys at the Lightworkers Paranormal Investigation on the boat. You know, to help them work out kinks and give my input, and it was fantastic. It's basically a Halloween creepy cruise. It says here, spend an evening with psychic medium Sean Leonard and Kimberly Lapierre of LWPI, Lightworkers Paranormal Investigation, and hear about their investigations and EVPs. Of course, you all know electronic voice phenomena, aka real spirit voices of the spirit world, while cruising the Halifax Harbor. Or bring the family along for ghost stories suitable for the younger crowd. It's about an hour and a half every night from October 15th to 31st. It's $25 per person. The Ghost Stories tour is $20 per person. So all you got to do is contact New Dawn Charters for tour times and reservations at 902-880-7447. It happens at Alderney Landing in Dartmouth, so you can go straight over there and do that. Or contact New Dawn Charters at eastlink.ca. So real good work, Sean. Just a little bit of advice. You were on the unified field here, and I clicked on your little link here for TV radio appearances, and the unified field's not on there. Why?